Commander Zixithara's mandibles clicked in satisfaction as she reviewed the tactical display. The human specimen had been running for 72 standard hours through the jungle moon of Kepler 442c. By all Vorkan biological models, it should have collapsed from exhaustion 40 hours ago. He's run for 3 days. He should be dead, she announced to her hunting party, her 3 eyes gleaming with predatory satisfaction. The Vorkans were apex hunters, their reputation spanning 14 star systems. They had tracked and captured specimens from hundreds of worlds, collecting the galaxy's most dangerous fauna for the grand arena. This human, however, was proving unexpectedly resilient. Zixithara's lead scout, Krental, had been monitoring the human's biosigns from their hovering gunship. His thermal scanner had tracked every desperate sprint, every stumbling fall, every gasping breath. The creature had no weapons, no technology, just the torn remains of a colonial survey uniform. But when Krental checked his scanner again, his scaled face went pale, blood draining to a sickly gray-green. "Commander," his voice trembled. "The readings. They've changed." "What do you mean?" Zixithara snapped. His heart rate, it's dropped. Not from exhaustion, from control. His movement pattern. Krental's clawed hand shook as he enlarged the tactical map. "He's no longer running, Commander. He's circling. No, he is stalking us now." The command deck fell silent. Such a thing was impossible. The Vorkans were the hunters. They were 7 feet of muscle, fang, and claw. They had energy weapons, armor, and a ship. The human was alone, unarmed, and should have been dying. "Ridiculous," Zixithara hissed. "He's disoriented, delirious from fatigue." But Krental highlighted the movement track. For 3 days, the human had fled in erratic patterns. Now the path showed careful, deliberate loops, predator patterns. The first sign came 20 minutes later when Scout Velkin didn't report in from the perimeter. They found him an hour after that, unconscious, his armor straps cut with his own combat knife. The human had taken his sidearm and rations. The second scout disappeared during the night cycle. No scream, no struggle. Just gone. They discovered her at dawn, similarly stripped of equipment, alive but in shock. She kept whispering one phrase, his eyes so calm, like he was judging whether I was worth killing. Zixithara finally understood what her crew was facing. Humans weren't just resilient. They were persistence hunters, an ancient evolutionary trait from their homeworld where they had literally run prey to death across endless plains, tracking for days until the target's heart exploded from exhaustion. But this human had evolved beyond even that. He had been hunted, broken, pushed to the edge of death. And somewhere in that 72-hour crucible, something primal had awakened. The prey had become the predator. On the 4th day, Zixithara ordered her remaining 6 scouts to form a defensive perimeter around the gunship. They had weapons. They had armor. They had superior numbers. The human had patience. He struck at dawn, not with fury, but with calculated precision. A rock thrown from the jungle canopy shattered Krental's scanner. A sharpened branch, thrown like a javelin, punctured the leg joint of another scout's armor. The energy pistol, stolen days ago, dropped 2 more with stunning shots before its charge depleted. Then he simply vanished back into the green hell of the jungle. Zixithara made the call she had never made in her career. Abort hunt. Return to orbit. But the gunship's landing struts had been sabotaged. Fuel lines cut with precision. The human had been beneath their ship working in darkness while they slept, and none of them had known. For 2 more days, the Vorkan hunting party huddled in their disabled ship, rationing supplies, jumping at every sound. They could hear him sometimes, moving through the jungle. Not fleeing, patrolling. On the 6th day, the human walked into their camp in broad daylight. He was gaunt, covered in mud and dried blood. His survey uniform now a patchwork of improvised camouflage, but his eyes were clear and hard as diamonds. He held no weapon. He didn't need one. "You hunted me," he said in perfect galactic common, his voice raspy but steady. "Now you know how it feels." Zixithara's translator chip processed not just the words, but the emotional context. There was no rage, no madness, just cold, absolute certainty. "I've called for rescue," the human continued. "A colonial patrol will be here in 3 hours. You'll be arrested and tried, but I want you to understand something." He stepped closer, and every Vorkan instinctively retreated despite their size advantage. "Humans didn't climb to the top of our food chain because we were the strongest or the fastest. We got there because we never stop coming." When the rescue ship arrived, they found the Vorkan hunting party sitting in silent trauma around their broken vessel. The human, identified as Dr. Marcus Webb, a xenobotanist, was calmly eating ration bars and had already prepared a detailed legal complaint. The Vorkans never hunted humans again. The species was reclassified in galactic databases from Tier 4, Standard Capture Difficulty, to Tier X, Apex Persistence Hunter, Do Not Engage. Commander Zixthera, in her testimony to the Galactic Council, said something that would echo through hunter cultures across 1,000 worlds. We thought we were hunting an animal. We were wrong. We were teaching a human what he was capable of becoming, and that, her voice broke with something humans would recognize as existential dread, is the most dangerous thing you can do in this galaxy.